Okay, thank you very much for the invitation, and many important questions were generated by you as you explained nicely in your presentation. But let me tell you a little bit how research can take advantage of technology. Since I am in the field of medicine, how you cure cancer, when I started to learn genetics, my mentor, James Watson, discovered double helix of DNA, was saying, well, listen, in order to understand really how a cell works, you need to go at the deeper level of DNA you can go. But at the end, you need to understand how that piece of DNA works in the complexity, in the context of the complexity of human cell. That's why we still think about how we cure cancer. So we thought that by cloning the entire genome of the human body, probably we could pinpoint the drugs or the function that are responsible, how a normal cell becomes a cancer cell. So the idea that artificial intelligence started in 1950 and 1960, right? Correct. When we start talking about the term artificial intelligence, was used to describe the broad field of developing machine that can replicate human behavior. No one thinks. You think about, people were talking about DNA in the 1940s. People were thinking about a protein was the core of the function of the cell. Instead was something deeper than that. Protein was DNA. Linus Pauling, okay, was saying the protein, when you know how the protein functions, you know how the cell works. So they started to talk about that, including all the aspects of perceiving, reasoning, learning, problem solving. Look at that. 1950 and 1960. In 1970 and 80, machine learning, as computers become more powerful, advanced algorithms were made to detect patterns in larger data sets to attempt to mimic real-life situations. So we started thinking, well, the computer is coming. So the computer is coming, now we solve all the problems, okay? 1990 and 2000, deep learning is a branch of machine learning that uses neural networks to model real systems by mimicking how the human brain works, utilizing millions of computational neurons. 2010, 2020, we have the generation of artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence explodes like it's something novel. But the knowledge and the desire of science was really to take advantage of this technology to understand the complexity. You said several times in the previous presentation, okay, see, it is right, okay, that we have something that will help us in analyzing the millions of information that was generated by research. At the end, you have a response, but at the end you have to validate that. So you validate that the gene is involved in breast cancer. Then you realize that the gene's probably the main function is in a different type of cancer. Or there is epigenetics, or there is an environmental factor, or there is a cell that get transformed here in this side of the world. In other side of the world, that cell is normal, because there does not exist any kind of disease, okay, that can be considered common or rare. Depends on the side of the world where you are. The change, the continuous change of our DNA background is amazing, is fascinating. And the future, okay, is using how to use that. We said that developing drugs, clinical documentation, clinical trials, medical imaging, helping basically to manage this huge amount of data that are generated all over the world, and bringing it in a context where the human mind can analyze. But the human mind should analyze, but should validate. It's always human mind should validate. I can go with artificial intelligence, and I have my friend and collaborator of Bogdan from InnovaWay, where we did a lot of interesting work. He keeps saying, Antonio, that's exciting. I can generate 20 new drugs, but you need to validate how much information you are able to put back in or to give me in the way that I can run the program, and to be as much as precise as I can to create that smart drug, a drug that is able to hit the target precisely into the cell. So the future is clear, gives us this powerful technology. This powerful technology that clearly this deep learning and artificial intelligence clearly produce remarkable results for complex real-world problems. The human mind, the brain cannot analyze the several observations that in this room each one of us can give an opinion or can generate an experiment, but then bring that experiment in a context that makes sense. And you can see that you find so many differences that only if you validate you can arrive as precise as possible to a response. Diagnostic therapeutical processes and behavioral from data accelerate the process of digesting and interpreting vast quantities of complex, diverse information, enable new data-driven presentation, diagnostic, treatment, and management options. Example of how AU is used in some of the major institutions and now is used also in our small institution. Mayo Clinic neuroradiologists using AI to find genetic markers in MRI scans. So there is always a group of physicians that are able to pinpoint, identify the area or matching some area in during the procedure that can give you, an interpretation or can have that diagnosis as precise as possible. So you have some borderline opinions, okay, so that derives, then at the end, before you have 3 or 4 experts that needs to score for that interpretation that the human eye could give. Now you have a machine, clearly, you have a help in trying to identify or to suggest what you could really tell. Memorial Sloan Kettering is collaborating with an imaging company to improve the diagnosis of prostate cancer. University of Warwick is using the AI system to analyze chest X-ray. Google DeepMind is working to develop a commercialized deep learning CDS tool that can identify 10 different eye diseases. So important. Important are also to have this type of support while you are doing your work. Drug development. In Silicon Medicine granted FDA clearance of I develop orphan drug for pulmonary fibrosis. There are so many drugs, even in phase 3 clinical trial, they fail. They fail for several reasons. Okay, there are a way that some of this drug, okay, probably could be repurposed, so could be used, okay, also in different pathology. As AI tools, or Pfizer developed their COVID-19 vaccine using the AI-assisted drug development platform. AI tools still you need to work scientifically in making this vaccine even as more specific as possible. The virus change. There are 10 things that are unpredictable because biology. Unfortunately, biology has this type of variability. Stanford used AI tool Sequoia to see cancer gene signature in biopsy images, predicting gene activity. A Google DeepMind AlphaFold used to predict 3D structural protein that are efficient in discovering novel inhibitor of hepatic cancer. Are efficient to discover. You should realize what does it mean at the end when you have 10, 20 different options. Then you have to validate in humans. Because you go in animals and you go in humans. And humans sometimes you have a patient or 10 patients with the same diagnosis that they respond differently. Okay, because there are epigenetic change, there are things that you can predict, but you need to validate and you need to tailor the type of approach accordingly to the genetic characteristics that we carry on in our physiology, in our body. University of Pennsylvania use AI determine the shelf use approved drugs for individual patients. IBM also is using AI in support. But Pfizer, for instance, is leveraging AI drug discovery to tailor drug delivery to individual genetic makeup. So first of all, you need to have a genetic makeup. As I said, you can have different targeting to the cell. You have different way, okay, you can approach that. And you have somehow continuously need to adapt or personalize the therapy accordingly to the genetic characteristics. So I give you some example of how they are trying. And the bottom line is that clearly they have information that are novel. But that information turnover are subjected to the validation. To validation, and sometimes is a different ballgame when you see a drug working or not working in the target individual that you are going to cure. There is the current and the project market size. These are some of the latest numbers. Okay, as you can see, I'll go fast on this part here. And this figure excludes the impact on the pharmaceutical industry. How is generative AI transforming pharma? Over the next decade, the generative AI is expected to produce 60 billion to 110 billion in annual value across the pharmaceutical industry value chain. So as you can see, these are some charts, and everybody can really have some of this presentation if you want to look at precisely some of the information that I listed here. We don't have enough time, I have to respect the 15 minutes. And then what you need to do, research early discovery. Look how many steps, okay, you have to go through before something can be validated. Think about not only one drug, think about over hundreds of molecules. I talk about the field of my interest. We developed the first drug, the most successful in breast cancer, the CDK4/6. We developed that in a discovery that was done in 1989, and they went to clinics in a successful way in 2010. Even the drug are not that precise enough. In fact, we are working in this collaboration with InnovaWay. So you have research and discovery, you have a clinical development, you have operations, you have a commercial, you have medical affairs, the complexity. You need an AI only to manage all these different parameters that you need to go through in order to have that drug that consistently, okay, can eventually could benefit certain type of population. Because drugs sometimes are useful, but used only on a population that can benefit because of their genetic makeup of that particular drug. Okay, so there is much hope in this AI to revolutionize medicine. Many studies suggest an unclear future. Gartner, at least 30% of generative AI will be abandoned after proof of concept by the end of 2025. So there's a view of poor data quality, validation. That's validation. Because you can have some very exciting data that can be generated, but if you validate, you need to make sure that that data can benefit, really can improve the quality of life. Gene AI efforts are still at the pilot or proof of concept stage, with a large majority of respondents, 68%, saying that their organization are moved 30% or fewer of their gene AI experiments fully into production. These are data, very latest data that have been provided. So as you can see. Now, the challenge for using in healthcare, inadequate understanding about what a particular type of AI technology can or can do, lack of good implementation strategy, incompatibility with the legacy technology and data, shortage of trained workforce, pre-existing corporate biases. These I love technology. I worked in my life on using generative technology. I'm excited when I can develop something new. I'm excited when I see a new experiment going. But then always there is that period that is, let's see if it works in humans, or let's see what really is the effect that can benefit the human life. What do we need to do to realize the full potential? Large language models depend on a huge amount of good quality and up-to-date information. That's my mentor Bogdan, I should say. You need to give me good information, Antonio, you and your people. If you don't give me information, how do you say, for this, I can't do anything, right? And you keep giving information. These AI and large language models depend on the input of experts who are trained and fine-tune these models to limit hallucination of AI as well as the accuracy of this model. And then it would be important, it would be instrumental, imperative, that technology company, healthcare, and biomedical entities work closely together to produce the next advance in AI used for personalized medicine. Any technology in 4 years that I saw are all useful at the end, are all very important. But when a technology comes out, is the sexy moment, okay? Everybody's going to work on that, really, without really maximizing or understanding how to use in a rational way. And our partner, we are very proud actually that our partnership with InnovaWay, that really are training and helping us in developing this program. In our new facility in Torino, 12,000 square feet facility contain advanced infrastructure to conduct laboratory. SHO is an American organization that was founded 30 years ago. We have a strong facility here. We have a new facility also opening up in Philadelphia, fully funded and supported by the American government, private, but the American government and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And this is the SHRO Italia, okay, that was founded. SHRO InnovaWay pathway, I cannot not list really the leader of InnovaWay, Dr. Antonio Giordano, that really made available to us this technology and all these talented people that in the way that we have developed a really strong program in the United States. And I'm very pleased actually that their company now based also in Jordan in a better way. So thank you very much for the invitation.
Thank you very much.